So the main problem that people have when drawing faces is this fixation on drawing the elements as individual elements. You see it all the time. It's the draw lots of eyes, draw lots of noses, and understand the anatomy and all the rest of it. But it's also this thing of you tell yourself that it's a nose or it's an eye, and the brain kind of helps you out because it knows what a nose should look like and it knows what an eye should look like. So, and you can see this when people, you watch these people that do these demos of drawing eyes, they spend very little time looking at any kind of reference, and if there is reference, it's just every now and again they'll glance because they already know what the eye should be, and it's a problem that, and then if they're probably highly skilled and able to do it, but if you're coming to this and thinking that it is about individual components of a face, and you focus on those components, and then at the end of the drawing for some reason it doesn't look like the person because you've been drawing an eye that you recall or an eye that it should be structured in such a way, when really you should have been drawing that. And this is the problem. So don't think of them as individual items, as elements of a face. Don't think of them as eyes and nose and ears and mouths. It's such a bunch of shapes and tone. That's all it is. So this is why I'm saying don't draw eyes, don't draw noses, don't draw ears, and don't draw mouths. It's draw the shapes that define those things. That's what you should draw. But as I said, it's a common thing. It's a common thing that people have this perception that it is about individuals. See how to draw noses and lots of videos how to draw noses and how to draw eyes, and and practice loads of thousands, hundreds of thousands of times in a sketchbook and everything else and all that, and it's just going to make the whole thing a lot more difficult. All I'm trying to do now is just get the if you've watched the dots thing, I'm just trying to get the elements defined as to where they need to be before I kind of commit to anything. So I'm going to do that, and then he's got his hair there, and then another great character. So that's my start. People ask me about starts. This is how I start. So I've located roughly where the eye is. I haven't done anything in terms of finding this shape here, any of the tones that relate to it. I found roughly where the eyelids there. I found roughly where the nose is at the bottom there, and I've indicated roughly where the ear is going to drop, which is in line with the nostril that's going to be there, and the moustache coming down here. And then there's the mouth under there, and then that leads down to the chin. So that's my initial start. It's just a briefer version of the dots. So now when I'm at this stage, I still don't want to draw noses or eyes or mouths at this stage. What I want to do now, I've got a rough approximation of where things are going to land. So what I want to do now is try and find the shapes around those areas, the shapes that define those areas. They're still not going to be hard and fast because I can't at this stage commit to those things. So I still want to be investigating. So I'm going to look for shapes that define these various elements, and I'll indicate those shapes however I want. I'm not going to commit to any kind of rendering or any kind of tonal value at this stage either. It's just about finding the shapes and trying to see how they define the elements. That's all it's about. It's only ever about that. It's how about shapes and tones and how they define the elements. But as I said, it is that. So when I get to, I'm not going to. I'll probably, for the sake of this, so it doesn't sort of drag on, I'll show you. If for instance with the eye, there's as far as I can see, there is probably 1, 2, 3 shapes in this eye. There's one shape that does that, and these tones are not finished tones, so don't sort of think of them as you have to be finishing the tone at this stage. There's just one shape that does that. There's another shape that does the under eye bit, and then there's the eye itself. So there are those three shapes that define the eye. So there's that one there, you can see. There's the under eye lid there, and then there's the eye itself. So those are the primary shapes. And obviously there's a little bit of a line there and a highlight, and then the eye sort of runs off that way. But those are the shapes that define that eye. So I've not tried to draw an eye. I've tried to draw the shapes and the tones that define the eye, but I'm only using tones at this stage to use as a way of defining the shapes. So it helps me to see the shapes better, basically. The same with this one, which is again, there's one major shape here that's coming down like that, and then sort of a little bit of a brow there. So there's that sort of shape. Then there's the inner eye shape there, or the eye itself there. There isn't really a shape underneath the eye. It's just there's a change in tone there, and then there's that kind of the side of his lid, his upper lid, and that's about it. So I've just used a few shapes and a bit of tone to define those elements. None of that is accurate at this stage. It doesn't have to be. It's still me trying to find out if things. I can't be accurate at this stage. It's not about that. The accuracy is something that is. It evolves from the conversation that I'm having with this individual. So it's not about at this stage. It's not about accuracy. And everything else, all the other elements, say the ear, for instance. So we look at the nose, at the bottom of the nose. Primarily, it's the bottom of the nose. The tones, you'll start to work the tones up there, but we're just talking about elements. But this nose is just like it's just like the nostrils. The tip of his nose and the nostrils is all we're worried about. The way it sort of the tone peters out and all the rest of it is, you can do all that. And then the ear, that's just going to tell us where the ear is. So the bottom of the ear, I'm just looking at the distance from the corner of his nostril to where the ear starts. So this is that shape there. There's a shape in the middle, right? There's a shape there, and there's a bit of a shape there, but that's all the ear really is. So I'm still not trying to draw ears and nose and eyes and everything else. I'm just looking at the shapes that define them, and that's it. It's not it's not complicated at all. As far as the mouth's concerned, it is check your distances to where you should want to be. There is a slight angle on it, as you can see, but just check the distance. That'll tell you how the thing will drop down a bit. There's the lighter lip underneath it there, but that's about it. There's nothing else to draw. That's that's it. So if you use shape and tone, you can see how quickly it is. I mean, obviously, you've used the dots to find the positions of things. You've used the dots to find the position of things. But after that, using shapes and tone, it's very simple. It's very easy. Try to, people call it simplification, but I'm more of a mind that it's amalgamation or reduction. So I'd rather amalgamate as many of the shapes as I can, so that they can become just one shape, and that in a way is probably what people refer to as a simplification. But and then using as fewer shapes as possible as well. That's another thing. Don't try and use loads of shapes. And I know that's a thing, because I see people paint like that, and there's like a dozen shapes that define this underneath there. But I think that's more to do with style than it is to do with the sort of the basic production. I'm sure they start with something, a very simple production, and then the style would be to see shapes within shapes and create some kind of stylistic rendering. But that's a different thing. It's complicated. Sometimes style gets, the actual production can be overwhelmed with style, and your style. It's a very strange thing. Styles come to you. You don't go looking for them, and they're a consequence of your intention. But as I said, it's a different thing. Anyway, so nice and simple. It's not complicated. It's just not letting the brain get involved in the process. That's the primary thing, because the brain will, even if you don't know how a nose is structured, the brain will tell you what a nose looks like, and it'll try to inform you. It's only because that's how the brain works. It makes life easier for you, and it's trying to inform you in such a way that you don't have to struggle. Unfortunately, it's telling you about noses that you've seen, somewhere else, and not the nose you're actually looking at now. So you'll end up drawing somebody else's nose on that face. So, and that's primarily the reason why I say don't, draw the eyes and the nose and the mouth, because as soon as you utter the words, I'm drawing the nose, the brain gets involved, and really, you don't want to do that. You don't really want to get sort of rigid. Just look at what you're looking at, and at the reference or the subject, your model. Just look at that. That's all that you should concern yourself with. And as I said, it's shapes and tones that define the elements of the face and everything else. Nothing more complicated than that. Anyway, so I shall love you and leave you, and hopefully this one has been a bit more succinct. I fear that the last time I tried to explain this, it was a little bit convoluted and possibly not as clear as it should be. It's not complicated, this. Please do not make it complicated. All right, I'll catch you in the next one.